Hey guys, what's up? So today I want to talk about microphones. Specifically, if you have $100 and you want to start your home studio journey, what microphones are out there within that price range that are actually worth getting? So today I'm looking at 4 microphones that I think have a very broad range of applications that you can use for vocals, acoustic guitar, or even miking up an electric guitar cab. Now, since this is a guitar channel, we're going to focus on guitar tones. But I will say that if you're looking to do more vocal heavy production, some of these microphones might be more suited towards that. So first up, we have the tried and true Shure SM57. This has been the #1 guitar cab mic through history. They're built like tanks, so you can drop them off buildings, they'll still work. Specifically, this is a dynamic mic, meaning it can take a lot of loud noise, and this mic in particular is set up to be kind of pointed directly at something and capture that signal. Now, it's a cardioid mic, which means that the polar pattern is mainly focused in the front, and there's zero noise coming from the back. However, because of that shape, it does allow for some off-axis noise to kind of bleed in a little bit. Along the same vein, we have the tried and true Shure SM58. This is basically your standard on-the-stage vocal mic. Again, it's a cardioid pattern. These are very much similarly built. But with this mic, you tend to get a little bit more low frequencies, and you get some more of that off-axis kind of noise that can come in through the sides. That's why if you're ever holding it like this on a stage, you'll notice you get a lot of feedback because you're basically telling the microphone to record reflections off of itself. However, this mic has also been used for guitar cabs and just general purpose recording, throughout history as well. Alright, so the next mic that I have here is an Audio-Technica AT2020. This is a medium diaphragm cardioid pattern condenser microphone. It's a very simple design, $99. Basically a unidirectional polar pattern, very little of the off-axis noise coming through. Even on the back of this mic, you don't get a whole lot of signal, and that's how it's built. The great thing about this, being a condenser mic, is you get a bit more of a full spectrum sound capture with this mic. Now, most condenser mics that are worth having are going to run you upwards of a couple $100 or more. I found this one to be a very, very well made and very good sounding mic, and we're going to see how it stacks up against these dynamic mics. And to mix things up a bit, I'm also going to use the mic that I'm speaking into right now. This is an Audio-Technica AT2040. This mic is also a dynamic mic like these two, but it also features a hypercardioid pattern, meaning that there is an actual polar field behind the capsule. And what that does is not only does it allow this to be directional, but instead of just being zero noise behind the capsule, there's actually a phase cancellation effect that happens that makes this mic even more tightly directional and doesn't allow any sort of off-axis noise to come in. Ultimately, I'd like to see, given $100 in your pocket, what mic would best suit your situation. So without further ado, let's go ahead and listen to all these mics on an acoustic guitar in the room, and then I'll mic up my Mesa 412 cab over there, and we'll play some cleans and some distortion tones and see, how these mics stack up against each other. Alright guys, so after listening to the clips of the acoustic, the clean channel, and the high gain channel on the EV8 Stealth, I think it's fair to say that none of these mics really sound like each other, which is to be expected. But I was pretty surprised to hear the difference between the 58 and the 57. I really do think the 57, for what it's worth, is the must-have microphone for miking up any kind of high gain guitar cab. I think it is the sound of heavy metal, and if you're doing that kind of stuff, you have to have one. That's not to say that out of all these mics, that if you're going to be starting your own home studio setup, I don't think this is the best mic in the bunch. I honestly think this condenser mic, for $100, this condenser mic has way more applicability to all the different tones, acoustic, clean, and even that high gain setting. I think this gives you the full spectrum of sound. And if you're going to spend your $100, I would go with the Audio Technica AT2020. It sounded good with the acoustic guitar. It sounded very full, very rich. With the clean tones, it was very, again, full. And then even on the high gain stuff, you got a lot of that low mid growl coming through. I think these two mixed together in a mix would be killer. SM58, leave it on the stage. It's cool. It'll work in a pinch. If you're going to buy your first microphone for your home studio setup, this is a good vocal mic option. In fact, there's a lot of very iconic heavy metal and rock albums where you'll hear this mic being used on certain takes. So maybe that's the next mic you get. Who knows? As for the podcasting mic, the hypercartoid mic here, yeah, it is very much meant to pick up the voice. I think especially in a close setting. I think it has a lot of high-end, top-end that these other mics really don't. And for like an electric guitar, it's a little bit too much, especially on the high gain. The other thing that was apparent on here, it's missing a lot of mid-range, which is what you want for the guitar. However, for the vocals, especially for talking, speech, and maybe even doing like really aggressive, like screaming vocals, I'd be interested to see what this sounds like in that kind of setting. There were some things I liked about it, though. I really liked the way it sounded on the clean guitar, electric guitar. It kind of gave you that top end sparkle. So, like, if you were to mix this maybe with this, you could get like a cool combo. But unless you're planning on doing a lot of content creation, I wouldn't necessarily go after this mic. I think this mic is better than the Rode pod mic, and it's probably up there with some of the other XLR condenser mics that are meant for close talking. And the cool thing about this over like something like the SM7B is you don't need a preamp. I have a preamp for the vocal for doing this kind of stuff, just to give it a little bit more fullness, especially when I'm so far away from it. But it gets a lot louder than like an SM7B will. So good mic for podcasting, talking. Eventually, you're going to have to get one of these. It doesn't matter what you do. You start a little home studio. Even though this might not be your first mic, it will be a mic that you need. You will eventually need this mic, especially if you're doing high gain guitar recording. But for just getting started, you have $100 in your pocket. Get the Audio Technica AT2020. To me, it has the better all-around applicability, and it's probably the most bang for your buck. So I hope that was an informative kind of rundown test of a few mics that you can get in the $100 price range. There are more out there. This isn't an exhaustive test. This is barely scientific in any way, but if you got something from it, great. In the coming weeks, I'm planning to do a few more amp sim related demos, just because there's been a lot of stuff that's just come out recently, and I'm kind of jonesing to try it out. So anyway, later.